Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Monday evening, April 8th, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that the entire Atlantic basin is still being dominated by ridges of high pressure, one situated right there across the eastern United States, and another ridge of high pressure, an even stronger one, right there to the northwest of Africa. And we know anything that's to the south of those ridges of high pressure are, you know, experiencing some form of easterly flow of wind off of Africa into the main development region, causing some, low-level patches of clouds, not to mention some Saharan dust. Easterly patches of winds across the Caribbean, and we see those blue spike lines right there associated with two cold fronts that are bringing more in the way of cloud cover and rainfall more than anything else. But there's definitely some amount of cooler than average temperatures being experienced to the north of those cold fronts, affecting sections of the Bahamas and the eastern United States, especially the waters right there, especially to the west of Bermuda. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can actually see the shadow that was casted on the Gulf of Mexico and the United States from the moon. Basically, that solar eclipse that took place, it was partially visible in Jamaica for some of those persons who have the glasses, the specified glasses that should be used, not to mention those HD cameras. Some people saw it, even although we were at least up to 21 to 22% able to see what was taking place in terms of the totality. So we didn't get the totality. Majority of the totality was across the United States. Jamaica only got a piece of it. Hopefully, no one actually looked up into the sky with their naked eye, because that could be damaging. We can see the clouds associated with those two cold fronts right there, bringing overcast skies, as well as some amount of rainfall to sections of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, eastern Cuba, sections of Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. And majority of the clouds associated with this cold front are pushing southward. So they're definitely going to be lingering and bring more in lieu of rainfall to sections of the northern Caribbean, sections of Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, even spilling into sections of the Leeward Islands. We're going to be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Monday, April 8th. It was stated that we would have received some amount of rainfall across sections of some northeastern parishes in Jamaica. And we know northeastern parishes we're talking about, well, those areas that are in the north and more so in the east. So let's say St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, we know eastern parishes. However, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, Portland, Kingston, St. Andrews, St. Thomas. So if we're gonna be saying northeastern, it's definitely those three parishes on top. And we also had the forecast calling for some amount of rainfall across sections of some central and western parishes in Jamaica during Monday afternoon. We know central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, so St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. Western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, so St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And what ended up happening? As early as 5 a.m., the Cuban Doppler radar images were posted. These images have to be posted because the Jamaican Doppler radar has been down for a good number of years now. Hopefully they get it sorted out as soon as possible. Either way, we saw the greens that represent some amount of light to moderate rainfall, plaguing sections of some northeastern parishes, coastal areas of St. Anne, St. Mary, sections of even Portland got into some of the action. And during the afternoon at 3:25 p.m., the visible satellite images were posted, still showing some clouds, maybe some relief rainfall taking place across sections of St. Mary, Portland, while we had a buildup of convection taking place across sections of some central and western parishes. So sections of Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Hanover, Westmoreland and even Southern St. James got in on the action. We even had one of our followers on our Facebook page, Cleo Carl Hutchinson, stating, raining in Santa Cruz, St. Elizabeth. So that indeed confirms the rainfall for that parish. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can see that flow from the northeast, bringing those overcast skies and isolated shores in sections of St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, and we can see even better the buildup of clouds and the convection associated with it across sections of Manchester, St. Elizabeth, sections of southern St. James, southwestern Trelawney, Westmoreland, Hanover as usual, but majority of the heaviest weather was concentrated across northern St. Elizabeth, northern Manchester, and southern St. James. And we can see all of that even better on the infrared satellite images. We can see that there was even a burst of convection right there across that very spot right there across southern St. James, northern St. Elizabeth. We saw even a sparkling white dot or two that indicate some amount of lightning flashes, if not lightning strikes. And we also see the high cold cloud tops being blown off towards the east. Those are the cumulonimbus clouds, and the wind shear is definitely blowing that off towards the eastern portions of the island. Either way, the latest infrared satellite images are showing that we still have some milky whitish colors still plaguing sections of some central and western parishes. So sections of St. Elizabeth still overcast, sections of Manchester, sections of St. James and Trelawney still overcast, and there might be some amount of lingering isolated shower taking place. Taking a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology's accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours. This map is not 100% accurate, but it does paint a picture that yes, we indeed had that rainfall across sections of some northern parishes in Jamaica, so northeastern Jamaica, especially in the morning, then sections of some central and western parishes during the afternoon. As it relates to the temperatures right now, we can see that we're 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 27 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 3 a.m. on Tuesday, temperatures should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston. And it is good to note that if we even look at the winds, it's quite windy right now across portions of the island. Some brighter shades of greens, even some yellows that represent 20 to 25 knots in some spots. So let me know if your area is windy at this time or throughout the day today. As it relates to the temperatures for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18Z on Tuesday. When you calculate that, that's 1 p.m. on Tuesday. And we do see Jamaica embedded in some yellows and some slight oranges that represent 1 to 2, maybe even up to 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. I don't know the normal temperatures for the month of April are about 88 degrees Fahrenheit. When we take a look at the thermometer, 88 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 30 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30 to 33 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperatures on Tuesday. As it relates to the dry air map, we know the dry air is represented by what we see on the key on the bottom. The yellows, that's the low end of the scale in terms of dry air. The oranges starting to increase in the dry air. The reds and the whites within those reds, that's the most intense dry air. And we see that there's a lot of wicked dry air right there to the west of Africa, as represented by those reds and those whites within those reds. But Jamaica is embedded in a mixture of yellow and oranges at this time. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Tuesday, we see that Saharan dust that we were being plagued with today is definitely dwindling as usual at this time of year. Majority of the Caribbean clearing out, but we still have some amount of Saharan dust plaguing sections of northern South America right there, as we can see with those brown shadings, not to mention across the main development region and that area across Africa. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we see that both the Euro and the GFS are showing those more so in the way of darker shades of blues plaguing the entire waters around Jamaica. And we know all of that has to do, if these images will load, don't know why they're glitching out at this time. Okay, all of that has to do with anywhere from 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights, and that's because the winds are gonna be coming in from the east quite strong. Don't know why these images are choosing to glitch out at this time. No problem, here we go. Alright, so we see the yellows and the brighter shades of greens that represent anywhere from 20 to 25 knots, and we see for the most part it's coming in from the east, more so from the east northeast and the north coast. Definitely some strong winds are going to be had across sections of the island tomorrow. If we take a look, yes, so these are the Tuesday forecasts, and we also see the blues that represent the least amount of winds. So we might have that air piling up across sections of some inland areas or some central and western parishes, maybe some isolated shower activity or two. And with the upper level winds coming in from the west northwest, it could favor more of that afternoon rainfall across sections of some southern parishes in Jamaica. So sections of Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland might get on some amount of afternoon rainfall, and northeastern and eastern parishes in Jamaica could be getting in on all of that rainfall considering the wind direction. And if we take a look at the actual rainfall forecast now, we're looking for the blues that represent rainfall, and where do we see them? Across sections of some northern and eastern parishes in Jamaica. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are showing something similar, and that's what we look for when it comes to these forecasts. And we see the blues that represent rainfall across sections of St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, maybe sections of St. Thomas on the Euro, something similar on the GFS. And this is valid for 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 2 a.m. Jamaica time. Skipping ahead to about 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 8 a.m. Jamaica time, we still see much of the same. The blues that represent rainfall across sections of St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, sections of St. Thomas, plaguing those parts of the island at that time. Even up to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 10 a.m. Jamaica time, we see something similar. Section of some northeastern and even eastern portion of the island right there. Euro and the GFS are definitely in consensus with the forecasted rainfall. Then finally, by afternoon, these maps are showing 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time. And look where we see the darker shades of blues that represent rainfall. Still affecting sections of some eastern parishes, but look right there. Sections of Kingston getting in on that rainfall. And look, we see both the Euro and the GFS in consensus with this. So maybe sections of St. Andrew, Kingston will definitely get in on some amount of rainfall tomorrow, some well needed rainfall. Some blues that represent rainfall across sections of some central and western parishes in Jamaica as well. So as usual, St. Elizabeth has to get in the mix. Sections of St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland. We'll see exactly what unfolds with that. Either way, both accumulated precipitation forecast maps are in agreement that we're going to be receiving some amount of rainfall somewhere across the island tomorrow, although the consensus is that we're going to be getting that rainfall across eastern Jamaica more than anything else from both maps. Euro showing up to 0.48 of an inch of rainfall, GFS showing up to 0.33, GFS also showing up to 0.58 of an inch of rainfall across sections of some central and western portions of the island. We'll see exactly what unfolds with that. Either way, we're indeed grateful that we're going to be receiving rainfall. We're in the month of April. We usually receive up to 114.75 millimeters of rainfall. That's almost 5 inches of rainfall. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get in this month before we get into our secondary rainy season in the month of May. Alright, so that is it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we can see the shadow that was casted by the moon today with that solar eclipse coming in from the southwest, affecting section of the Gulf of Mexico, Central America, and the United States right there, especially some areas across the Caribbean getting in on that partial solar eclipse, even Jamaica. And we can also see the clouds associated with that are those cold fronts still plaguing sections of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, eastern Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and the Leeward Islands. We don't see much taking place across the Windward Islands, but we do see some activity as usual across sections of Colombia, Panama, and Costa Rica, not to mention sections of Guatemala. If we take a look at the wide view of Doppler radar images, well, the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we can indeed see where we had that rainfall across sections of the islands today. So definitely some amount of isolated shower activity took place across sections of the Leeward Islands, more so in the way of hit or miss showers more than anything else. If we take a look at the Barbados radar, we don't see much of anything taking place at all. Some line of showers right there towards the east northeast of the island, but that's basically it. If we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see where we indeed had some amount of rainfall across the section right there across Puerto Rico, and New Puerto Rico had rainfall today. Don't know why the images right here weren't showing that, but this wider view of Doppler radar images is definitely showing where that island had rainfall, even section of southern Dominican Republic, section of Colombia as usual. And if we take a look at the temperature forecast, we can see where the blues and the greens that represent the below average temperatures brought about by the cold fronts are plaguing those sections of the northern Caribbean, sections of the Bahamas, southern Florida, Turks and Caicos, northern Cuba, and northern Hispaniola getting in on the action. While above normal temperatures are plaguing sections of the eastern to central and western Caribbean, especially where we see those reds, those way above normal temperatures plaguing sections of the United States, Mexico, sections of Central America, and northern South America as usual. If we take a look at the Sahara and dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Tuesday, we do see the majority of the Caribbean is starting to clear out, especially section of the Eastern Caribbean. Maybe that plume right there is on its way. Either way, we're indeed grateful that that's the forecast for tomorrow. Nothing too drastic, and the majority of what we were experiencing across Jamaica is now pushed out towards the west, and it is actually dwindling for sections of maybe Belize and Honduras. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, don't know why these images from Windy are starting to glitch out all of a sudden, but no problem. I'll just reload them. Alright, so here we go. So as usual, wherever we have the purples, that's representative of anywhere of 2 to 3 meter wave heights. The blues, that's representative of anywhere from 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights. And majority of the Caribbean should be experiencing the 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights. The purples, as usual, to the far south of Jamaica and Haiti to the north of Colombia. And that's because the winds are usually strongest in those spots. Wherever we see the yellows, that's representative of 25 to 30 knot winds, and we see the winds coming in from the east for the most part across the Caribbean, averaging anywhere from 10 to 15 to even 20 knots, gusting to 25 knots wherever we see those yellows. And we see those yellows to the north of Colombia, to the south of Hispaniola right there, and the winds are curving towards the north as we head into the Gulf of Mexico and the United States. As it relates to the rainfall forecast now, we can actually see the outline of the stalled out cold front with the amount of rainfall that they're going to be bringing to sections of the eastern and central Caribbean. So definitely anywhere from Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda westward, St. Kitts and Nevis, sections of St. Martin, the US and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, southeastern Cuba, Jamaica will be getting in on the action as well. Even sections of the Cayman Islands might pick up an isolated shower or two. Looking westward, we see sections of Belize might get in on some of the action. Sections of Guatemala, or if they're not already getting that rainfall, more is still to come. Section of southeastern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia as usual. And we also see some amount of rainfall in store for sections of French Guiana, as we can see right there. I know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.